Okay, so ready to dive into a topic that honestly might seem a little bit counterintuitive.
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. Today we are going deep on loneliness.
Ooh, interesting.
But, and here's the twist, we're focusing on the potential upsides.
The upsides.
Yeah, you heard that right. We're talking about the good that can come from feeling lonely.
I like that.
The LPot community, they sparked this conversation, and it's all about how loneliness can be this unexpected catalyst for some really positive change.
Interesting. I'm intrigued.
So first things first, I mean, we've got to acknowledge the elephant in the room, loneliness. It's something most people try to avoid.
Yeah. It's often seen as like a negative emotion, right?
Definitely. Something we want to get rid of ASAP.
Yeah. But the LPut community, they're kind of flipping the script on us.
Mm-hmm.
They're asking, what if instead of running from loneliness, we actually like lean into it?
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, it starts by changing how we see it. They're suggesting we view loneliness not as this enemy, but more like a teacher.
A teacher.
Yeah, almost like a guide. It's like pointing us towards a deeper connection.
That's a really powerful way to look at it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're all about practical advice here. So what are some concrete takeaways from the LPOT discussion? How do we actually put this into practice?
Yeah, so they're saying a big part of it is understanding that loneliness, it's actually pretty universal, you know?
Right.
And pretty much everyone experiences it at some point.
For sure.
And recognizing that can be like the first step to kind of shifting that perspective, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Because if we stop seeing it as this personal failing and realize that it's something everyone goes through,
Mm-hmm.
we can be a little kinder to ourselves.
I like that. So kind of normalizing the feeling.
Totally. And then from there, it's about getting curious, you know? Like asking ourselves, okay, why am I feeling this way? What's this loneliness trying to tell me?
Yeah. It's so easy to just want to distract ourselves when we feel lonely.
Right. Absolutely. Scroll through social media, binge watch something, anything to avoid that feeling.
Yeah.
But what if we actually sat with it for a minute?
Mm-hmm.
What if we asked, hey, loneliness, what's the message here?
Okay, and what kinds of messages might loneliness be sending?
Well, it could be a bunch of things, right? It could be a sign that we're not spending enough time doing things that we actually love.
Okay.
Or maybe we're not feeling truly seen and heard in our relationships.
Right, correct.
Or maybe we're just not prioritizing our own needs.
So, okay, say we start to understand those messages. How do we actually act on them?
Well, the LPOT community had some really practical tips for that too. One of the things they emphasized was the importance of like intentional action. So instead of just kind of hoping things will change, you know,
Right.
actually taking steps to create the kind of connection that we're craving.
Like what are some examples of that?
Oh, so many things. It could be as simple as reaching out to an old friend, you know, or finally signing up for that pottery class you've been thinking about.
Okay.
Joining a hiking group, volunteering for a cause that's important to you, just anything that gets you out there and connecting with people who share your interests.
I think that's so key, right?
Yeah,
Because it's easy to feel like we're the only ones feeling lonely.
exactly.
Exactly.
But when we put ourselves out there, we often realize we're not alone at all.
Right. And sometimes even just small acts of kindness can make a big difference.
Mm,
Like smiling at a stranger, you know,
right.
holding the door open for someone, or just offering a listening ear to a friend who's going through a tough time.
Those things might seem insignificant, but they can really make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. They can ripple out and create a sense of connection, not just for the other person, but for us too. So, okay, this whole idea of transforming loneliness, I mean, it's pretty powerful stuff. But is there anything else that stood out to you from the LPOT discussion?
You know, one thing that really struck me was just how much they emphasize the importance of self-compassion.
Okay.
Because, you know, it's easy to beat ourselves up when we're feeling lonely.
Right.
Like, what's wrong with me? Why didn't I have more friends? Why am I not going out more?
Yeah,
But that kind of self-criticism, it just makes the loneliness worse.
for sure.
So they really encouraged people to be gentle with themselves, to acknowledge the feeling without judgment, and to, you know, practice self-care.
And how do we do that? How do we actually practice self-compassion when we're feeling lonely?
Well, it can look different for everyone, right?
Uh-huh.
But some things they suggested were like taking a warm bath, you know,
Yeah.
reading a good book, spending time in nature, or just doing anything that makes you feel good.
Okay, so simple but important.
Exactly, because when we treat ourselves with kindness and understanding, we're we're actually creating a foundation for healthier relationships with others.
That makes a lot of sense. So we've covered a lot of ground here. Um, if you had to pick one key takeaway for our listeners, what would it be?
Honestly, I think the biggest takeaway is that loneliness, it doesn't have to be this scary negative thing that we run from. It can actually be an opportunity for growth, a chance to really get to know ourselves,
Yeah.
and to build stronger, more authentic connections with others.
Okay, so how can our listeners apply this to their lives?
Well, I think the next time you're feeling lonely, try to see it as a signal, Not a sign of weakness, but like a little nudge to check in with yourself
Okay.
and ask, okay, what do I need right now?
So instead of pushing the feeling away, lean into it, understand it,
Totally.
and then take some action.
Exactly. Whether it's, reaching out to a friend, joining a new group, or just taking some time for yourself to do something you enjoy.
So we can kind of reframe loneliness as a teacher. I love that. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into, well, I guess the not for dark side of loneliness.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
And we hope you'll join us next time as we continue to dive deep into the topics that matter most.
See you then!